You watched Inside Out 2, but I assure you that you have missed these. 10 Secrets in the Night, and the 11th one? Nobody's talking about it. 1. The jersey number 28 of Riley is not an accident. Majority of individuals see the hockey jersey of Riley and do not think anything. Just a number, right? Wrong. Pixar was very deliberate in that number 28, and after you understand the reason why, you will have a totally different view of it. Inside Out 2 is the 28th movie of Pixar features. That's it. That's the secret. The reason why Riley is wearing 28 is that it is the 28th movie of the studio. It is Pixar basically engraving their own name on the chest of the main character in right plain view scene by scene. Yet here's the thing that makes it even better. That was not always going to be 28 on Riley. It was initially to be 29. Why? Since Inside Out 2 was meant to be the 29th film of Pixar, the film was expected to release after a film titled Elio. In October 2023, Pixar delayed the release date of Elio, so Inside Out 2 has shifted up the list, is the 28th Pixar film, and the jersey number of Riley was silently reinstated to 28 without anyone announcing it. The filmmakers simply modernized it and continued. 2. Envy has 4 fingers, and that's all there is to it. The fresh feeling Envy could be the most intelligent character design within the movie. She's small, she has large broad eyes which are continually inspecting all that everybody else has, and then after all, when you closely examine her hands, more closely, very closely, you see she has only 4 fingers. All other feelings in the film bear 5 fingers. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, all the other new emotions such as anxiety, embarrassment, ennui, etc. They all possess 5. Envy has 4, and that is not an error or an inattention of the animation team. She is 4-fingered due to the fact that she is jealous of the 5th finger. This is literally made into her character design. The jealousy is so absorbed in desiring what everybody else possesses that she lacks something that she desired in her own body. The animators did not create a mere character that symbolizes the envy. They created a character that is physically incomplete. That is, she is never complete. She is always literally incomplete. 3. The pizza box, which is a parting to a legend. Following the initial game of hockey, when Riley and her team girls are celebrating with pizza, there is something on those pizza boxes which almost no one listened to. The box brand name is Spinny's Pizza, and that name is not random. Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch were the puppeteered characters on Sesame Street played by Carol Spinney, who was a longtime puppeteer of more than 50 years. He died in December 2019, aged 85. Director Kelsey Mann himself met Spinney before his death and wished to pay tribute to him in the movie. He was not able to give Spinney a voiceover cameo as he was absent. Instead, he gave the pizza brand his name and ensured that it appeared in the moment of Riley's celebration. For Artist 87 is a real person, and his story will break you. As anxiety completely occupies the mind of Riley and compels all the workers of her mind to explore the worst case scenarios, there is at least one animator who will end up breaking free at some point. He is cowering over a sheet of pastel colored drawing with a baseball cap on his head, and he is branded Artist 87, and he is a real person. Artist 87 is a parody of Ralph Eggleston, who was one of the most significant individuals in the entire history of Pixar. He has done some work on Toy Story, Monsters Inc., and was production designer on the first version of Inside Out. He has influenced the whole visual language of the first movie on which this sequel is constructed. Ralph Eggleston died of cancer in 2022. He never got to see Inside Out 2, but the team ensured that he is in it immortalized as the first mind worker to rise against anxiety, the first one to prefer hope to fear. That is not an accident. This was confirmed in interviews by production designer Jason Deemer, who had a direct working relationship with Eggleston. He explained how Eggleston would always be having pastel colors on his hands and surrounded himself with his art. All those details are incorporated in Artist 87. It is among the most emotional secret salutations within any film ever created. 5. That falling piano is of someone you already know. Inside Out 2, there comes a time when complete anarchy erupts within the mind of Riley. Memories collide all everywhere. Buildings are being knocked down. Objects are being thrown off into unimaginable heights. And amidst the whole of it, a piano falls down out of the sky and crashes into headquarters. The majority of viewers watch a piano falling and pass by. It is anarchy. Things are crashing. Okay, but this is Pixar. Nothing falls by accident. That piano is Joe's piano. In particular, it is a part of Joe Gardner, the jazz artist who is the protagonist of the Pixar movie Soul in 2020. In Soul, Joe has always wanted to become a professional piano player, and that is what this story revolves around. The piano that smashes into the mind of Riley in the second part of the movie, Inside Out, is the same piano as the one used by Joe when he lives in the apartment in Soul. This is one of the more unforeseen links Pixar has been establishing over the years in their movies. A connected universe. It is neither a poster on the wall, nor a toy in a shelf. They even dropped a whole piano in another Pixar film in the midst of the action, and unless you saw Soul in the recent past that you could tell what the piano like that of Joe looks like, you had no hope of catching this one. 6. The door of the new emotions is made of the secret room of anger. The new emotions, anxiety, envy, ennui, embarrassment, and nostalgia arrive in the first place at the headquarters of Riley, and they enter what is a very narrow door. You see anything in that door, you know it is made like the head of anger. This is because this door was to serve an entirely different purpose. When coming up with the first idea of the movie Inside Out, the writers had a notion that Anger would have his own steam room inside his house, the place he could go and relax to ensure he did not blow up at headquarters. Its construction was done completely by the animation department. Then the scenes of the steam rooms were removed in the original movie. Nevertheless, the building was not demolished. It remained in the background as an object that was there in idle use until Inside Out 2 came around and used it as the entry point where new emotions will wait before they enter the mind of Riley. You see, anxiety walked through a door which resembles the face of anger. That is not a stylistic decision to make as the sequel. That door has been an interior part of Inside Out since 2015. The crew literally reused one of the unused sets in the original movie and used it with a new direction 10 years later. 7. Sword has a hockey stick hiding in it by Lance Slashblade. Lance Slashblade is the fictional video game crush of Riley. He is styled like an early 2000s PlayStation 2/GameCube era RPG character, obviously a Final Fantasy/Kingdom Hearts character such as Cloud Strife. The entire joke of the movie is that Riley is highly ashamed to acknowledge that she is still in love with a video game character with visible abs and a huge sword on her. However, there is also something within Lance that the film fails to point at and that the majority of the population overlooked. Look at his sword, not the shape itself, the design within. The blade has a hockey stick right in the center of the sword within the darker part of the blade. Jason Deemer, who was the production designer, affirmed this particular detail in an interview with Variety. The sword was made in such a way that hockey, which is the passion of Riley in the real world, is permanently installed in her fantasy world crush. Even her imaginary escape is determined by what she really is in the real life. The strata of that are really marvelous. A sword that appears to be a sword, but a secret one that conceals the one thing that Riley loves most about her real life in a sword. The most Inside Out thing Pixar has ever done. 8. The scene with the anxiety screen is a plain reference to one of the most recognizable Apple ads. Towards the end of Inside Out 2, anxiety has become fully aware of the mind of Riley. She is displayed on a massive screen over all the mind workers in headquarters and transmits orders and worst-case scenarios as a dictator dominating her subjects. Then one of the mind workers picks up his chair and hurled it through the screen, breaking it. In case that image seems recognizable, it is because it is nearly the same as one of the most memorable commercials in the entire US advertising history. In 1984, Apple aired a Super Bowl commercial that was directed by Ridley Scott, where brainwashed workers were seated before a big screen TV with a Big Brother figure operating them until one woman threw a sledgehammer and smashed it. The said commercial is what ushered the world into the Macintosh computer and is now regarded as one of the best advertisements ever. That was the moment in Apple commercial by Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs was not merely the co-founder of Apple, as he was a major investor in Pixar and also acted as the chairman of the company. The current campus of Pixar has a building that is literally known as the Steve Jobs building. Thus, to recreate that very image, Inside Out 2 was both a pop culture illusion, both an assertion about the power of anxiety to dominate your mind, and a tip of the hat to the man who made Pixar happen in the first place. 9. Deep dark secret. In Riley is, in fact, revealed, but only when you stayed. The biggest mystery related to Inside Out 2 concerns what is contained in the deep dark secret vault. The film builds up all through as something big, something that Riley cannot confront, something so big that it is buried in the deepest corner of her mind. You are waiting something disastrous, and then the film concludes without ever informing you about it, except it does tell you, not just not during the movie itself. However, when When you watch the entire end credits, then the vault is unlocked at last, and the secret of Riley is entirely revealed. She burned a hole in the rug. That's it. That is the horrifying, terrible secret that is profoundly buried within Riley, her nose on the carpet burnt, and she had never mentioned it. The contrast between the magnitude of the secret as it is experienced throughout the film and its normality is the genius in this case. It functions on two planes. One, it is really funny. Two, it is one of the most accurate things that this movie portrays about the teenage life. Everything is disastrous in the 13. A scalded carpet seems to be the end of the world. That disobedience between what one gives something and what it is, that is anxiety in a nutshell. Pixar had packed the whole emotional thesis of the film within a joke at the end of the credits. 10. The Pixar almost included all these emotions in this movie, and the reasons they were cut. Not all of the emotions created during the documentary Inside Out, two ended up in the movie. Two feelings had advanced quite some way to be hacked out, and the nature of them is truly curious. The former you can literally see in the film in a moment. The nostalgia is briefly shot, and it is expressed by a long-running actress, June Squibb, who has starred with serious personality as an elderly woman. Nostalgia comes in with literal rose-colored glasses, since this is precisely the way nostalgia works. It is always nice when you see the past through rose-colored glasses. She takes something that has occurred 30 seconds ago as a memory that happened decades ago. She was developed enough, but not assigned an important role in the final version. The second cut emotion was not even put on screen. In the process of development, the team developed a German emotion known as Schadenfreude. German Schadenfreude means that particular satisfaction that comes when someone loses. Pixar constructed that feeling as a character, developed it to its fullest limits, even named it in German, and cut it in total. The fact that Pixar treated Schadenfreude as an individual who could exist within the head of a 13-year-old gives everything to the extent of how much such a creative team did realize what it is like to experience puberty in its real sense. And that is the 10 things everybody missed in the Inside Out 2. The four-fingered tribute to number 45, the jersey number, the pizza box tribute. Pixar stuffed this movie with details to have attention paid to them. In case you happen to record any of these independently, leave it in the comments. And subscribe in order not to miss the next one.